Yo, 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 yo. I hope we're going out live. Welcome to the Weekend Woo, right here on the Kev Baker Show live stream for the weekend. Yes, indeed. Joseph went all steamed up there. Not even going to ask him what he's been up to. Looking a bit flushed there, Joe? Things getting steamy?
Not yet, no.
Not yet, no, nothing like that, no? New doll hasn't arrived from Japan then, no?
Not yet.
Not yet. No, so hopefully.
Soon.
Hopefully everyone's going to be seeing us going out live. You're in there, I think, Joe. So hopefully, just hopefully, this new studio, crossing the fingers here, it's going to be a vast improvement on what we've had on the back end at YouTube. And unlike what Joe Joseph has said, whoa! Lucky I activated him.
Kev Baker is coming to you live from Uni Rocks Taint. Enjoyed the show, everyone. Brown chicken, brown cow.
Okay, right, hang on now. So are you... Right, hang on, right. I have to make it really clear, right? Every content creator has got the new studio. Listen, I know what you're trying to do, Joe. I know what you're trying to do, right? There's people wind Unirock up about how he's got some, like, secret YouTube insider, like he works at Google or something. And because I'm a big fan of Unirock, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing, man. He's trying to create a conspiracy. You know what I'm saying? Dude, Scott, see what I'm working with here, man?
You know, I mean, once the conspiracy latches on,
and it will.
I had to test Brian out and also motivate everybody out there. See, even I go out of my way to make sure I give Kev a little bit of love every once in a while, you know, to keep the lights on at his house. So there we go.
Come
there
on,
it is.
dude, it's not quite that bad.
And at the same time, to, you know, so that he stays off the street, you know, try to give him a little bit of love, Brian style. That's what I'm saying.
Do you know what I mean? Makes it sound like the lights are going to go out if I don't get a super chat or something here, Scott. That's just wrong. That's what you call red pilling to pay the bills, Joe. Come on. I know all about it. Come on, dude. You can't do that to me, man.
First of all, it has nothing to do with keeping the lights on. It has to do with keeping you in the house so that Ann doesn't kick your ass out. That's what I'm saying.
Well, now that is a different way of looking at it. Totally, I get it. How's everyone doing out there? Now, I've been telling people we only need one new member before we get the shoe. I was checking today, and because every month, you know, some people I impress some months, and in other months, you know, I'll cover topics and I'll lose some along the way.
He's down to 27.
We need 4. Unfortunately, we need 4. So if you want to join the channel, I think it's only like £5 a month, and we'll love you long time. Yes, sir. But
I just like being at the top of the list there.
You like that, Joe?
I like that. Look at that. There I am.
Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
That's what I'm saying. So, hey, just throw him a little love, you know? Let him keep the lights on. And if you notice he's emaciated, maybe he can buy some food.
Listen to it, man.
I mean, I digress. I didn't mean it like quite like that.
You know what's happened, Scott? He's had to look at himself overnight in the camera, and he's like, oh, look how good I look, man. I'm looking like, whoa, you know?
I think the high definition video is starting to inflate the ego a little bit.
It sounds like it.
All I can tell you, Kev, is I know how yours got inflated now.
You think so?
Totally.
It works, right?
Yeah.
You know all you need now? I'll give you a couple of filters, a couple of LUTs, and you'll have yourself looking real cool, dude.
A couple of LARPs.
Oh, no, we don't do LARPs. I could have done an LARP today. I was telling Scott. I could have really... See, if I was the kind of guy that wanted to clickbait people. We had... it's been hectic in this part of Glasgow today. Last weekend, to put this into context, you see, what a lot of people don't realise about Glasgow is we've got our own holy war that goes on here. It's Catholics against Protestants, it's Celtic against Rangers. And last week, there was a big flashpoint of showing you guys today, of showing Scott, riot cops in the street, there was flames, there was shenanigans, right? So today, we had a potential for round 2. So because this was going on, I was out the back, it was lovely and sunny, having my cup of coffee. But thank you, Timothy.
Light on, hands up.
Light on,
Thank
hands
you.
up. Yep. Well, what was
See,
happening?
There's $2 for the meter right
See?
there.
Kev Baker, Benevolent Fund. Thank you, man. Tomorrow we eat. No, but what was happening, Joe, right? Because of the place where I was, all you could see was a black helicopter, like 100 to 150, 200 feet in the air. And if I was a LARPer, if I was a clickbaiter, I would have been saying, not saying it's the deep state, but, black helicopters overhead, 5 minutes, just hovering, no reason. So, there's people out there who would have clicked the hell out of that video, even though, it wasn't for me. But that's the kind of guy I am. I've been taught by uni you can't do LARPs like that.
Now, see, what would happen, what needed to happen in the interest of trutherdom, if you will, is you should have said, look out the window. There's a Black Hawk helicopter. It's hovering outside. They know I'm here.
That's what I'm talking about, dude. Could have.
Because that's what they do. Remember? Oh my God, there's Black Hawks all over the place.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
It's the X-ray trucks.
Wait a minute.
They have better things to do. They're not going to go and look for you. Cut it out.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, Joe, that's going to get 10 times more attention than tonight's show's ever going to get, isn't it?
But it's total, like, it is. It's LARPing. That's...
Look, see it? Look. Imagine it. Oh, no.
Imagine a conspiracy I can start with that.
Oh, no, it's been here all morning. Oh, no, look at it. Yeah, that was somebody's knickers on the clothesline now. Don't want to see them. Look, see? I could have really played it. I could have really over-egged that, couldn't I? Look, oh, look.
Oh my God, they're rappelling down.
Yeah, look. And then you have people saying
76 in Glasgow.
it's a fake helicopter. Look, the rotors are going too slow. Don't take into account the shutter speed. That's okay. Don't let that get in the way of a good conspiracy.
Yeah, look, it's a new technology. Oh, look at the sundog from the chemtrails. And then
it's Nibiru. It's Nibiru.
Yeah, and then in the corner, there's going to be two suns somewhere. You got to get over where there's like two suns.
Yeah,
and Nibiru's in the background.
Yeah, but at that point, I switched from video to still image, so that you don't see the obvious lens flare moving to blow the whole Nibiru thing. I'll jump up and down so you get a wave going across the sun and shit. Sunwave, Kev. 2019.
You hanging a matchbox from a string or something? Is that why the rotors are going so slow, Kev?
Yes, fake helicopters. No such thing as helicopters. Sky's not real.
Fake sky with the fake space, because yours flat, man. I already.
So, how y'all doing, boys? Ready for a good one tonight? Got a lot of good kind of crazy stuff to get into. Really crazy stuff when you think about it. What is it about some women, guys, that attracts them to, say, the bad boy? Why is it you find that, Some girls, they just... There we go.
Sit back, relax and roll yourself a fatty. Join the show, all your friends are doing it. Smoke Mafia Gotham. It's gonna be a great one.
Woo! See, Brian's gump. He hasn't got enough wind in him, man. He must have COPD or something. He ran out of juice there.
AI with COPD.
You see, it's learned from it. It's learned from me. It's watching my behavior. It's like sympathizing with me. It's trying to anthropomorphize itself, so I feel sorry for it. I'm bringing back the Australian chick, boys. Telling you.
Are you really?
Well, how about we go for this lady here, our first story of the day. Maybe we could get this lady to do the voiceovers for us. What do you think, guys? And like I was saying, what is it about some of the fairer sex that, despite there being dashingly good gentlemen like the three of us, they tend to go for the more bad boy out there? And this isn't a one-off case, guys. You see it all the time. The rougher the dude, the worse the crime, the crazier that people go after him, right?
Yeah, I don't know. This is one of those things where it's like, it's hard for rational people to understand the irrational behavior of some people, and it's like, obviously we're talking about disturbed individuals attracted to disturbed individuals, right? So,
Yeah.
but this seems to be a phenomenon, right? And I kind of, before the show, I looked up a little bit of stuff on this, and this is a thing, man, where
It's a thing.
it's a thing, man, where you have these women that are like attracted to, serial killers in prison, and they start sending them letters, and they want to become romantically involved with them and all that stuff. And it's just like, wow, why, what is going on upstairs that makes you attracted to somebody like that?
Scott, I'm not any psychology major, right? But I would imagine there's got to be something like, you got to be a couple of sandwiches short of a picnic,
Yeah.
For a whole host of reasons. Right? But before we get into this bigger picture of how this plays into like a phenomenon, let's find out what this lady here's been up to, right? Then I'll give it back to you so you can kind of backfill once we meet this lady. And it says here, Brit woman wants to marry an evil serial killer. Like you do. She met on prison pen pal scheme. So it says Ernest Otto Smith. And there we go again. How many times have I said how weird is it that you get like these assassins, you get the serial killers, and they've all got these three names, right? You've got the Patsy, Lee Harvey Oswald. You've got Scott. There's heaps of them, right? The three named like serial killer and things. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but it's something you see all the time. They say things come in threes. Even when you look at these bad things that happen at schools nowadays in America, they've usually got three names as well. I know. It's weird.
It is weird. It is weird, like, because you don't really hear of anybody else being referred to, by their first, middle, and last name. But when it comes to these things,
serial killers.
Exactly. What is it? Why is that a thing, dude?
Serial killers, mass shooters, assassins, anything like that, they always just refer to them by all, their full name, including the middle name and everything, instead of just, first and last name. It's just, I don't know what the deal is with that. Is it some psychological thing that they want, is there like a
can we
method
blame
to
the
it?
parents? Can we blame the parents for only giving them one middle name? Is that like going to improve their chances of becoming one of these geniuses later in life? I blame the parents personally then. Give them none or two or five, just not one middle name. Move on. You know what I mean? But it says here, right, that he was jailed for life without parole after committing double murder in 2005. And Joe, you'd actually said you'd watched this guy on one of these crazy TV shows about death row and things.
Yeah,
says,
man.
A woman has her heart set on marrying a serial killer that she fell in love with via a prison pen pal scheme. Tracy Bottomley, aged 41, there she is there, okay, says she could not help developing feelings for double murderer Ernest Otto Smith when she joined the program out of curiosity. What happens? You sitting like taking a number 2 one day, and you're thinking, oh, long day, what can I get up to? I really need a new hobby here. Thumbing through something. Serial killer pen pal program. That's the thing for me. Well, where's this been all my life, right? So it says Smith was jailed for life without parole after murdering a man and woman in 2005. But Tracy has no qualms about getting hitched next year at his jail in the Ohio Department of Prisons in the U.S. She said, Ernest doesn't scare me. No, because he's locked up in a max security facility, luckily. I've never been somebody who gets frightened easily. Yes, he is a serial killer. He's committed a few murders, but I understand the risks of what could happen, and I still love him. Well, on you go, girl. Girl power.
Girlfriend.
Being killed isn't the best way to go, but everybody dies one day. I'm going to die eventually, and I don't mind the fact that it could be at the hands of him. Oh, how cold is that?
Wow.
I tell you,
that say something about her self-esteem, which obviously is not that high. And I could understand why that is, but even so, I mean, look at this guy. It's Ken Webb.
But could you... It looks like changed the channels, brother, dude.
Tell me it's not Ken Webb.
Telling you, man. But can you imagine being a journalist when you're sitting there alone with that woman and she's sitting you saying, like, yeah, he's murdered a few, but you got to die somehow, right? I'd be thinking, okay, is that the time I've got to go? This is getting a bit weird. I'm out of here. You know what I mean?
I've always wanted to be sacrificed by a serial killer.
What the hell, man? Tracy started talking to Smith in 2018, whirlwind romance then, after seeing an advert for him on a prison pen pal Facebook page. Bloody Facebook. How did I guess, eh? You see, they're starting their own dating service. Joe, did you see that? I was talking about this on the daytime stream yesterday at the Safe Zone. You know, Facebook dating. You know, anyone looking for a Zuck buddy? Yeah, you like that? Yeah, like, come on. You like that?
Is that right?
Yeah,
Ken, really?
pretty cool.
You think about that all by yourself?
No, I was in the metro. You should be proud of that. I was in the metro, dude. Yeah. So it says here, she's been single for 3 years after a string of unlucky relationship and a failed marriage in 2003. I hope her ex-husband has been contacted after that marriage. I hope somebody's seen him since the date of that divorce, because you never know, boys. She got a patio put in 2003. I'd be digging that up right now. I'm only saying, though, it was his honest account of his past that won her over. She said Ernest's advert did detail his crimes, so I knew that he'd been jailed for life for killing 2 people. But he also spoke about what he'd been through and how he was a victim of child abuse, which led him to using drugs and battle his depression and anxiety. Now, I've been in an abusive relationship before, and the way he spoke about his experiences as a child changed him, really resonated with me. I wanted to get to know him, so I sent him my details through, and a few days later I got an email from him. You see, we are talking about damaged people here, all joking aside, guys. All joking aside, it's almost like this.
That's what I was saying, you know, disturbed individuals attracted to disturbed individuals, you know, and that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at a case of 2 damaged individuals that have the universe has put them together. And by the universe, I mean Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's wild, man. It's crazy, but you know, I mean, obviously, like I said, you know, we're dealing with somebody here who, you know, there's a lot going on upstairs that needs to be worked out, because you know, wanting to be in a relationship with a serial killer is kind of not the first.
I just don't understand where the value added is there.
No.
I'm not getting it.
But like I said, I mean, this is a phenomenon that has occurred, you know, that has happened before. And the first time I really heard of this kind of thing was way back when I was younger, and I was watching one of these serial killer shows on Richard Ramirez, remember the Night Stalker back in the early 80s, right? And he you know, he killed, you know, he was a serial killer in California, and he killed a bunch of people and had a bunch of kind of satanic elements to it and all of that stuff. I believe, didn't he carve like a pentagram in his hand or something in his trial and hold it up? And, you know, it was just really, really bizarre. But the one glaring thing I remember about it is that there was like a whole bunch of women who were like throwing themselves at him during the trial. And
I think it's those prison shots. I think that's what the women fall for. You know, I think that the guys taking the pictures when they get jailed at the county jail or whatever, there must be the lighting that they put them in or something. Must send a bunch of women into a trance. Maybe it's that blue shirt. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the appeal here.
There was a lot of media frenzy around, you know, his trial and the whole the killings and just everything. I mean, it was all over It was all over the news at the time, and it was definitely being covered just wall to wall in California at the time. And so, I mean, he was kind of like this. It kind of built a cult of personality around him, right? You know, even though he was a killer, I mean, he was on TV, he was getting a lot of notoriety and all of this stuff. But yeah, I mean, he had all these women that ended up.
He was like traumatized by his brother who was in the military. He started showing him like pictures and things of the war and stuff. You see, it's crazy, dude, when you start to look into some of the stories of these people, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's, you know, usually in the case of like serial killers and stuff, there's a lot of crazy stuff that, you know, traumatize them or things that have occurred to them that, you know, ended up making them the way they are. And of course, that's not to give them an out.
No, absolutely not, dude. But yeah.
No, and you know, and just some people are born evil. Some people are born sadistic. And, you know, I think you see that in the case of a lot of serial killers too, whenever they're children and they end up killing animals or torturing animals, right? That's usually one of the that's usually one of the first signs that they're going to grow up to probably start killing.
Find some sort of enjoyment in that. Yeah.
And then you've actually got like a name for these, like this phenomenon, like we're saying, where women will fall in love with serial killers. Now, before we look at the name of this, have we, off the top of your head, anyone out there, any of you guys here, have we ever had the flip side of the coin, where we've had like a woman serial killer, a woman that's like a murderer, and we've had like men going after them?
You know, first of all, it's very rare for a woman to be a serial killer.
Yeah, very, very. We had that mad one. Well, they're all mad, but the one in America, I remember her blonde hair. She was like doing guys in. I think they were picking her up as a prostitute, and then she was doing them in. I can't remember her name, man. I can picture her.
I can't remember her name, but the movie Monster was about her. Yeah. And so yeah, you had her, but there really, you know, isn't really. But yeah, this thing, it's called, was it hybristophilia?
Anything philia has got to be bad.
And put philia at the end of something, it's like, but you know, but basically it's the attraction and the, you know, they get sexual arousal and they're attracted to people who have done horrible things.
Can you believe this? Look, it says here in popular culture, it's called Bonnie and Clyde syndrome. Never heard it been called that before, but hey, if it works, it does fit, I suppose.
Yeah, you know, like Bonnie sticking with Clyde, right? Even you know, rolling with him, you know, knowing that he was killing people and all of that stuff, and she got excitement out of that. And you can see right there, it says many high-profile criminals, particularly those who have committed atrocities. Let's see, bring that up here. Have committed atrocities and crimes receive fan mail in prison that is sometimes amorous or sexual, presumably as a result of this phenomenon.
It comes from the word to commit an outrage against somebody, and filio having a strong affinity preference for. Greek word hubrising? Wow. Who knew it was a thing, though?
Well, I mean, I knew it was a thing. I just didn't know they actually, like, named a disease after it.
Yeah, you know how these, like, psychiatrists and psychologists got way too much time on their hands?
Yeah, I know. I've got something here, since we're talking about the mind and screwy things. According to RT, mind-reading AI may spell end to humanity as we know it, but not because it'll enslave us. Listen to this. Technology linking human consciousness to any sort of cloud or a cloud computing service could not just open the way for totalitarian mind control, but destroy the very essence of human relations, says philosopher Slavoj Zizek. I like that name. A computer that can read the thoughts of many people at once would make normal human life impossible. But and this was at the wake of the World Artificial Intelligence Conference in Shanghai, which Alibaba's chairman Jack Ma and Tesla CEO Elon Musk clashed over the future of AI. And while the two techno entrepreneurs engaged in a heated discussion over the possibility of humans being controlled by machines in the future, the senior researcher of the Institute of Sociology and Philosophy at the University of Ljubljana,
And tell you what, Joe, before you go on, it's a stretch to call that like an intelligent discussion, because Jack Ma against Elon Musk was like men against boys. It was like men against embryos. They were just a different league when it comes to Musk and AI. And you know, your man Jack Ma, he's talking about AI we should change it for, like, it should stand for that. It should be Alibaba AI. And it was just ridiculous. It wasn't even a debate. It was weird. But Elon, as usual, sounding the alarm bells, freaking everyone out when it comes to the AI. You know?
Yeah. He says our brain being connected to a machine is not a utopia. He says what I'm studying now is the so-called phenomenon of wired brains, a possibility of our brains being connected with strong digital machines.
Nice.
And that's not a utopia. He says in the Media Lab at MIT, Massachusetts, there are already simple machines like that. It's like a helmet, nothing intrusive, that they put on your head. And then something horrible happens. I saw the video. You think certain thoughts, you don't say anything, and the machine reproduces them either in writing or with artificial voice. The primitive level machines can already read your thoughts. It's okay if it involves your agreement, but what if it's done, and it's easy to imagine that, without you knowing it? Now there's a serious option to read our thoughts, not just our emotional attitudes like being angry or sad, but even the line of thought in our mind. The next step in this utopia will be a computer that can read my thoughts and your thoughts that can connect us so that we can share our thoughts.
Cool.
And if you and I are connected through the same computer, I can literally participate in your thinking directly without any external communications like word or typing. And as you probably know, modern technology theorist Ray Kurzweil and Melanie Swan call it a new form of divinity. It will no longer be a transcendent God, but all of us sharing our thoughts through some AI cloud system. Millions of people will be participating together in a new form of awareness. He says, I find that perspective pretty horrifying. So it would be the board.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hive mind.
Yes, the collective hive mind.
There will be 500 million in the hive mind, and I've got mine booked, boys. I'm there.
I'm going to the next level. I'm not going to
imagine it though, right? Here we are, right? There's 180 watching right now, and like hypothetically, 5 years down the road, we could be like in like some kind of Woodstock setting, like Woodstock. Yeah, like we could be doing this virtually, man, with our little avatars and things. We could be like having some like wild get together. I'm telling you, dude, this is the way we're going, man. We'll just all sit there.
But here's the issue, man. You know, and this is where where it gets creepy, and you got to start asking questions and wondering, you know, how do you put a filter on that? How do you put a filter?
That's the question, right?
Yeah, because.
Well, go ahead, and then I got to fit because it's getting to that point. It says we as humans are precisely what we are. We're free individuals as far as we can be sure that you don't know what I'm thinking. I think what I think, and I'm free in my mind. What happens if I can't be sure I can do that? If I think about something and a computer can identify what I'm thinking and then shares it with others, we're really entering a post-human era. He says, I believe that we should not be fascinated about what it means technologically. He says, do you not agree that we should worry about who will control these digital machines? I personally am, because I know that no matter what safeguards, Scotty, are put in place, there's always a workaround. There's always a back door, and somebody always has access to it.
Yes, it's just like your computer, right? No matter how secure you think your computer is, there's a back door, there's an exploit, there's something there that's going to allow you to be compromised at some point eventually. And it's the same with with this stuff, right? You start plugging in and you start connecting your mind, and these things have the ability to read your mind, and you know, where's the last bastion of privacy? Where's the last bastion of safety? You know, you can't even be safe in your own thoughts anymore. And you know, that is a terrifying prospect, right? Because you know, none of us is perfect. We've all, you know, we all think about things or have thought about things that, you know, you don't want other people knowing, right? I mean, it's your own personal thoughts, your own personal.
They can't. They're not going to sell it as that, because you'd never be able to get it by. So they have to attach it to something that makes it more convenient to do or execute.
Just for people as you're talking, Joe, this is like the promo for Neuralink on the screen right now. This is the kind of latest coming from them, you know. But what you're saying there, Joe, the way Musk explains it is, we've got a problem with the input-output speed, you know. Why waste time with our clunky thumbs and things like that when we could just literally think what we want to send? Think that question.
Because that's a romanticized, naive way of viewing what in reality would be.
Can we agree this tech, though, is like something out of Star Trek or something? That, you know?
Beyond that. It's beyond that, because why? It totally and completely changes humanity as we know it. And this is why I don't think, personally, I don't think that we make it to that point, because at some point, and this is my gut telling me, this is my everything telling me that God intervenes before that happens, because we can't. There's no way that humanity in this form can survive that. We just can't. We're going to change one way or another. And I just don't think we're going to have the ability to control it. And it's going to lose control. And if it's funny, because the Bible says that in the end, it gets so bad that God has to intervene lest no flesh would survive. A lot of people interpret that as some sort of like a radioactive event or bomb, but I don't. I look at it as artificial intelligence, as the obsolescence of flesh as we know it, and no flesh would survive. You're right, because if AI and even some of these Silicon Valley tech people would have it, no flesh would exist, because it's kind of inferior. And that's kind of where I'm going with that, is that no flesh would survive. So to me, the threat that the Bible speaks about is technology, is artificial intelligence, is that, like I said, the simulation within a simulation. You know, we talk Antichrist. People are going to go to the artificial intelligence for all their answers because it'll have it. And so that's kind of how I feel about it. You know what I mean? I don't look at it as a disease. I don't look at it as a plague or a nuclear event, nothing like that. I see it as just technology, the advancement of technology, making flesh obsolete. And if we keep going down that line, then anybody that wants to live like a biblical life or something based on that, you know, it's going to be difficult. And it says, as it will be a time unlike any time that's been on this planet. Well, if you take a look at it that way, I guess you're right. It would be like a time that there's never been on this planet. And that says something too, because I'm of the firm belief that there's been more than one incarnation of humanity or life, you know, so.
Well,
yeah.
You know me, people ain't going to like what I say, but.
Oh, I like what you say.
You know what I say. I mean, I look at it like big picture, you know, We came from like Neanderthals. We got to where we are today by building tools. We increased our knowledge. We built up our civilizations. And like you, Joe, I think we've been here many times round, many times that we don't even like appreciate. And I just see it as, I see everything you're saying, the dangers, but I also keep my mind open to the fact that we've built this with the tools that we've been allowed to manufacture and bring into the world so far. And with every technology, you're on a knife edge, really. It can go one way or another. And I just have faith in the fact that it might be a tool that could usher in this new age that we're on the cusp of. We talk about an apocalypse right now, talking with Scott about the age of Aquarius, the changing of the ages. And isn't it interesting that we have this huge leap right at the same time as the apocalypse is going on, at the time we're about to move into a new age? And I think that is what's going to take us that next step on, that next step forward. And of course, there's going to be bad actors. There's going to be bad things happen. You know, it's like a gun. It depends who's wielding it, right? However, I do think that with all of the advantages, be it medical, be it things we haven't even thought of yet, guys. You know, the AI is going to come up with new kind of new textiles, new chemical kind of stuff, probably new fuels, everything.
That in and of itself, that's great.
You know what I'm saying, Joe? So I think that,
I'm not worried about
I think that has to
aspect.
outweigh everything. And I get the bit where there's going to be this merger. I get that. And as long as they allow it to go with free will, as long as they don't make people take that, then I'm quite positive about it. I'll tell you that right now. People don't like me saying that. I can play both sides of the divide, and on my show, I kind of go along with the way the guest of the night is kind of presenting it, because I don't hijack people. So people say, but Kev, you're wishy-washy, you play both sides of the aisle. But now you're hearing, I do think the positive outweighs the negative on it. So Scotty, your thoughts on it, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? It can be used for good. It can be used for nefarious purposes. It depends on how it all plays out, right? I mean, that's just what we're gonna have to see, is how it all plays out, right? And I think it also is going to depend on who controls the, overlaying architecture of it all, right? If it ends up being a character like Zuckerberg or something who has sort of the keys to the kingdom, right? And controls this technology, then, hey, maybe you might think twice about jacking in, right? But what if it ends up going the way of open source, right? Then if it ends up being something like that, where, everybody could kind of have their own tailored control over it because it's an open source technology, well, then I don't see what's so wrong with it. I don't see what's so bad with it. So, I mean, I'm kind of with you, Kev. I think, I mean, regardless of what we think about it, that's the direction we're headed.
Yeah.
It's not going to stop.
Scott, and also, there's no right or wrong answer here, because it's everyone's going to have their own personal view, and it's going to be built on, everyone's going to have their own view. I'd be surprised if two of us actually have an identical kind of opinion on a topic like this,
Yeah, because, I mean, I think I lie somewhere between you and Joe on this, right? Because I can totally see how this could go horribly wrong, horribly fast.
Yep.
But I could also see how this could potentially be, like you were saying, Kev, we were talking about the entering of a new age, and we're talking about the entering, we entered the age of Aquarius, and a lot of people say that entering the age of Aquarius is going to bring about like a mass awakening. People are going to be able to see, it's almost like what
if that awakening includes like the library, the digital library of Alexandria in your head?
That's what I'm saying. That's what so I see where you're coming from with that. Maybe this kind of being able to this merging with technology, in some way opens the mind up for us to have more knowledge and more information input.
Joe's already sending curses my way. Look, he's already hexing me. Look at him. Look, he's sitting there. He's told Ange to whip up a potion in the background. There's prayers going out or something, man.
But no. I could.
We do chicken feet and assless chaps.
Yeah, you've got Johnny King and his assless chaps. We need to get Johnny King on here one night, dude.
Yeah, he works nights, but
damn. Imagine the new listeners being subjected to the king, Scott.
Oh boy, would they ever? Would love the beard. The true.
Oh boy, the king would definitely take the weekend stream to a level that I don't even.
He'll take us to a level where we can't stream anymore. Let's face it.
But see now, look at so when as you guys are talking about this, remember the crux of this was mind reading AI. So it really doesn't have anything to do with the benefits. That's kind of like to the side, right?
Well, remember I said I'd seen a Star Trek episode, Joe, where the population, literally the governments were reading your thoughts to the point where they had banned violent thinking, violent imagery. You couldn't think about anything violent. And we see the way that the social credit scoring's going now. You kind of violate things online and you get points taken off you. I can see how 5 years down the line, this could be implemented where thoughts could get you banned from things. Right. Thoughts could get you penalized.
And it's going that way. It's going that way. And so with all the benefit that's out there, that's great. But it's like the old saying goes, one aw shit ruins a dozen attaboys. And this is the same way. One oh shit is all you get. And all those benefits that you might have is all.
Do you think some of these TIs, this is the stuff they're testing on them, guys? And listen, let me say that not everyone that tells you're a TI, that doesn't mean, like, not all of them are TIs. Some people maybe, think they're being harassed, stuff like that. But my point is, I think there is such a thing as targeting individuals. So it doesn't make it all wrong. So do you think this is where they test this kind of technology? I mean, I've had Dr. Eric Kallstrom on the show. He goes through all the kind of documents and things. I've been pretty convinced of it from what I see. What do you guys think?
It's possible. And another question we have to ask is, are we eventually going to see these biotech sort of software developers or maybe even private companies that pop up, in this realm? Are we going to see maybe firewall programs or antivirus programs being developed for the mind?
It's a good point.
So just like if you want to protect your privacy in your browser, right, on your computer, you install a plugin or you install antivirus or anti-adware
filters or something, right? Some sort of antivirus, some sort of but then again, like, I don't know. I find it.
I mean, this is just me projecting out and thinking about the direction things could be going. Yeah. And so maybe you do have concerns about, okay, I'm gonna have to use this technology, or I'm gonna have to, engage in it somehow, but maybe people are gonna find a way to protect themselves the best they can, and that might be, incorporating some kind of a software filter overlay or something, into this to maybe filter out certain thoughts that they don't want people to know about. I mean, it is crazy to think about, but I mean, I think that's the direction we're headed, and so we're just going to have to see how all of this plays out. Like I said, I think it depends on how this technology emerges. Is it going to be more of an open source thing, or is it going to be controlled by some shady corporation that really kind of has a stranglehold on all of this? And are we going to be looking at, just if you're gonna jack in, it's got to be through the Google interface or the Zuck interface or something like that? And I'm like, no, I'd be like, no, but maybe if it was
you'll become a
source,
Zuck buddy. Plug in, become a Zuck buddy.
Exactly. But if it was open source and maybe like people had the ability to screen through the source code and actually understand what the technology does and how to implement it, and maybe make their own versions of it, maybe make versions that aren't so how do you say, where you could still utilize the technology but not be jacked in so in depth, you know what I mean? Like just maybe a softer overlay. I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas, but that's where we're headed. Cyberpunk 2077, baby.
Oh hell yeah! Oh hell yeah!
You so crazy.
It's the way it's going, though. It truly is. What else we got in the grab bag, then, gentlemen? How about an update? Right, I've got an update. Hang on. Remember we were talking about we've been going on about the Picts up in Scotland, all the kind of archaeological finds, guys. And we had this story before, right? We had the six-headed burial of the Highland clan era probed by archaeologists. So, and I was telling you, Joe, remember I went to the actual site that this was from, Port Mahomet, I think it's called. And right. This is where literally, I don't know if you remember on Facebook, I posted images of a skeleton that was like in a crypt, but they wouldn't let you go down to see it like close. You were elevated, and it was literally a giant dude, okay? Well, this is the same site, because when we were there, it was like Göbekli Tepe. They'd say, roughly, for argument's sake, they'd only excavated 10%. So excavations are ongoing. They keep finding more and more. These Picts, they were like mercenaries. They were hard dudes, man. They were fighting with the Vikings. They were fighting all sorts. Well, now, what if I was to be able to show you the face of this character here? You ready? And this is where, like, computer software and things, forensic, absolutely cool. Boom. There he is, man. There's the dude.
Wow.
That's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty cool what they can do with, like, computer software and stuff like that. When I think they map the skull, Scott, isn't it? And then they're able to reconstruct the face. They map the
skull, and then they're able to kind of get a pretty good idea of how the muscle and the skin would overlay over the skull, and then they could pretty much extrapolate what the face would probably look like from that point.
15th century, man. Yep. Says here the face of a 15th century clansman who was laid to rest in a highly unusual six-headed burial, has been revealed. Experts have reconstructed the face of the man whose skeleton was excavated from beneath the former Tarbet Old Parish Church in Port Mahomet, Easter Ross. And he was buried on top of another man, woohoo, hey, 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 who had died after receiving horrific sword wounds to his face. Is that what they called it back in the day? Unusually, 4 other skulls were placed in the coffin shared by the two. So, yeah, there you go. There's the man there, man. He looks like a rugged Scottish dude. You see this guy every day when you walk down the street, you know?
I was about to say, I mean, he looks like a pretty hardcore guy, like someone that you probably wouldn't want to just decide you're going to...
It's the face of a man that eats a deep-fried Mars bar and washes it down with whiskey. That's what you're looking at there, guys. When sheep see him, they fear. They feel fear, so they do. They run, you know? He could be an ancestor. Hey, don't like family shame me, Scott. You can't do that kind of things nowadays. He could be related.
A little too manly for anybody these days in Glasgow.
Oh, dude. Oh, I wouldn't say that. Come on over, Joe. We'll show you a good time in Glasgow. Absolutely.
I don't know. Maybe if I was to grow a beard and a mustache, I'd look kind of like him. What do you think?
If I was in Glasgow, I'd be a giant. Isn't like the average height about 5'2" over there?
How tall are you?
6'1".
My boy's taller than you, dude.
See, he's a giant. He's a Nephilim.
Yes. So's the milkman. Just saying.
He's just so convenient. Him and the postman. Why?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, there's a raffle for who we should accuse here. But yeah, so what's next then? Come on, what we got? Come on. Hit me with it. Hit me with your rhythm stick.
I got this other thing. So Science News has vaping being suspected of 5th death and hundreds of injuries. Yeah, so it's starting to rear its ugly head. And this is interesting in that all of the stuff that I've seen come out on this has to do with the fact that people are inhaling massive amounts of oil. And in this case, it's vitamin E oil that seems to be the culprit. And it's funny because when you look at how to make vaping fluid, I've never seen a recipe where vitamin E oil is listed anywhere. It's never. As a matter of fact, one of my friends, and you may remember him, guys, Ken Hildebrand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the day when he quit smoking, he switched over to vaping, but he made his own vape fluid, and never once did he ever use vitamin E oil. He used propylene glycol and some other, I can't remember what it was, but that was the main ingredient, was propylene glycol, which is, it's a food additive. And by the way, it's not ethylene glycol. The ethylene or methylene glycol are the really nasty ones. Propylene glycol, you have to drink gallons of it before you get sick. And so never once had I ever heard anybody using that. So when this came out, I started doing a little digging, and where you see a lot of it are these vape shops where they're making the vape oils specifically tied to cannabis. And what they're doing is, in order to intensify the effect, they're doing vitamin E. They're putting that vitamin E oil in there. It's basically like cutting if you buy some cocaine from a dealer, they normally cut it with something else. When my dad was a cop in the 70s, he says they did an arrest on this one house, and they go in there and they were cutting cocaine with dried dog shit.
Whoa.
Drying the dog shit, because when you dry dog shit, it's white, and it turns into a white powder. And they were cutting it with that.
That was good shit, man.
Good shit. Literally. Shit. But you see what I'm saying? So the only thing I'm thinking of, or coming to the conclusion of so far, is that some of these places are cutting that fluid, that vape fluid, with vitamin E oil, and it's causing people to have issues.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of looking into this, and I actually have a friend who's a very, very big proponent of, vaping and e-cigarettes. As he's like really, really almost like an activist, I guess you could say, supporting, vaping and e-cigs and a lot of the stuff that they're trying to do, and
you got to be really hardcore to make that like an activist type of thing,
and he is, but he's pretty hardcore. But the thing is that it basically saved his life, and he's been vaping ever since the technology first sort of emerged. He's been vaping for like almost 10 years. So I mean, it's just something that he feels very passionate about, but, and it saved his dad's life too. His dad was, pretty much on the way of, of destroying his lungs and all of that. And nothing worked to, help him quit smoking, except for vaping. So, it's like I said, it's just a thing that he's passionate about, but, he sends me a lot of information, and I've looked at a lot of stuff. And, so all of this, sort of hysteria you're seeing right now around, these people, dying and having these lung issues with vaping. They're trying to demonize vaping as a whole, which is not right. not good. That's not the route that they need to be going, but they're using this as an excuse to just go against vaping as a whole, the vaping industry. And these issues are not arising from that. We're talking about black market products, black market vaping juices that are not being produced by legit companies that have any kind of
all of these people are getting what's called lipoid pneumonia. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
And it's what happens when oils or fat-containing substances enter the lungs and provoke inflammation. So that's what it is. It says lungs aren't designed to handle the onslaught of chemicals and toxicants that can be inhaled while vaping. So basically, that's what's going on, is that the lungs just can't handle it. Now, it says here that the New York State Health Department is eyeing one possible substance, saying that on September 5th, the high levels of vitamin E acetate had been found in some vape products containing cannabis. Vitamin E acetate is a dietary supplement and an ingredient in some skincare products, but can be toxic when it's inhaled. It's still too early to focus on any one substance. Federal officials cautioned in the news conference. They say the FDA tested more than 120 samples of vaping products from a broad range of chemicals, including nicotine, tetrahydrocannabinol, and the psychoactive ingredient in marijuana known as THC, as well as various dilutants and additives, and even pesticides and opioids. It says the samples we're continuing to evaluate show a mix of results, and no one substance or compound, including vitamin E acetate, has been identified in all of the samples tested, meaning that it may not be everything. It may not be every product. It's nothing that is similar to all the vaping products out there. So I think you're right. It probably has to do with the quality of the things that are being put in these things.
Yes.
And because people are buying them, or there's, let's just say, and I hate saying this, but because there's no oversight or regulation as to how these products are produced, there's no food safety requirements. There's no type of requirements out there.
I mean,
you can just throw anything in there. They could put vegetable oil in there for all you know.
Well, there kind of is, there kind of is some oversight, and they do have to adhere to some standard, which is why if you're going to be vaping, make sure you buy your vape juice from a legit source, and a legit company, and it's just like with everything else, educate yourself and know what you're getting, right? If you're going to be ordering some shady vape juice online that might be coming in from China, would you really want to inhale that? You know what I mean?
What I'm saying is that while there is, how do you know that that's what you're getting? You don't know. A lot of people I know buy their vape stuff on Amazon. How do you know what you're getting? Because a lot of that's Chinese stuff. The Chinese knockoff.
And I just saw a video. I think it was actually Rolling Stone magazine that put out a video, and it was telling people what to look for with their vape, because they were addressing this very issue that we're talking about right now with the people getting sick and this problem with, people almost dying. And, in this case, people have died, but, these people having these lung issues from this, and they were kind of giving people tips on what to look for when it comes to, eyeballing, something that might look like a knockoff vape juice, counterfeit vape juice. And like I said, most of this seems to be tied to the cannabis stuff. I'm not seeing people getting sick, as far as when it comes to like the nicotine vape juices or any of the other stuff. So, once again, I think.
Love your show, Kev. Been tuning in for years.
Oh, awesome. That is awesome, Kobe. Awesome. Yes, indeed. Get yourself some vape, Scott.
So, once again, what I think this boils down to? The problems and the issues that arise from Prohibition.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt.
We would not be dealing with this if cannabis prohibition was, if cannabis was fully legal. Right. What you're dealing with are kind of shady black market companies or sellers, or, these people developing these cannabis vapes, and they're trying to skirt the law. And you're just getting unsafe products, right? It's just like prohibition of alcohol. You had to kind of go out on a leap of faith and drink some of that shady moonshine that may have been produced out in the woods by who knows,
Johnny King. Johnny King's got the moonshine on the go, man. I remember.
So it's the same. It's the same with this. If you want the cannabis infused vape, you're going to go to a sketchy source, and you don't know exactly what they're producing it with and how they're making it, and you're taking those risks. So yeah, once again, thank you Prohibition. You're causing another problem.
Yes.
Stupid Prohibition.
They were always going to come up with something, though, right? But I must admit, when it comes to vaping, I've always thought to myself, what's the long-term effects down the road here? Because it's just all the things you guys are saying,
Right.
And there were so many people jumping on it. And don't get me wrong, Joe. I mean,
Fashioned way, Kev.
Sorry?
What the hell's wrong? What's wrong with the old-fashioned way?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
If you're going to do your lungs in, take it from experience. Just do it the old-fashioned way, man.
Go COPD.
Yeah, it's in.
And hey, I vape CBD oil, man.
And look at you.
Smoke weed every day.
So I mean, and I know
he says coughing a lung up. See,
look at all that lung butter, courtesy of all the oil and stuff in his lungs. You hear that? It's butter in there.
So and I know where I'm getting my vape juice from, my CBD vape juice, and all of that. I'm getting it from.
Do you really?
Do I really? I don't know.
Exactly. Do you see them making it, Scott? Is it
Jamaican
even real?
Hey, Popeye sent me my first bottle of CBD.
Oh, well, that says it all then. Where did he fly it in from? Like, did he fly it into like Mena, Arkansas or something? On his paper airplane? He's like only 3'2".
Oh my God.
And then he probably picked it up in his white van, in his pedo white van.
Big time. He's got the beard. He's got the van for it.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of children saying he's got the face for it, so he's all set to go, right?
Yes.
Poor
Popeye. Your
Popeye.
beard is so soft, Uncle Popeye.
And now where's he moved? Out to the woods? Oh, yeah, nothing to worry about there then, eh?
See, you don't think that deliverance can happen down in Florida, and I guess at one point in time it couldn't, but now it can.
Poor Popeye, man.
That's right.
It's cruel what you do to him.
Popeye in the woods. What are you doing? Are you
I'm looking for Popeye. Maybe people haven't seen Popeye.
Maybe people haven't seen Popeye.
Maybe, yeah.
My God,
there's so many different versions of you in there, Joe. It's disturbing, isn't it?
It really is.
It truly is.
You almost need to like create a whole folder for Joe.
You do.
Because he's cluttering everything.
I hope
else.
everyone out there's really appreciating seeing Joe in such clarity now on his new camera. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
I just can't believe that.
There's one of the two of yous.
Yeah, but that one wasn't.
It doesn't really
good
do him justice, does it? No.
Oh no.
No, that's not fair. Really, that one's not good.
I'm surprised you don't have more Popeye.
I used to. I'm trying to think.
I got some. I have to dig it off this thumb drive here. Hold on.
I've got them here. Hang on. You see, for anyone out there who doesn't know, we tend to like abuse each other on Photoshop. It's just one of those things. There's the man there. There he is. Look at him. He's even got his angle going. Look.
Oh, but that, yeah.
Every photograph it's taken at this like ridiculous angle because that way you can't tell he's 3'2".
But he's got a reason for it. There's actual logic.
Okay.
To his reasoning for taking a picture like that.
Is that because that's the way the child is going to see him?
No, it has to. It has to do with dominance. And he says it's because of how It's because of the angle looking up. I said, what do you want to look into your nose? Is that what you want? I mean, come on. But
I think it's because your typical 10-year-old. I think it's because your typical 10-year-old is going to get that view of Popeye, so he's letting them see it. He's like, look, little child, this is where you're going to see me. What do you think, Scott? No,
I mean,
too soon. No,
it's possible. It's possible. I mean, I know he has his logic for that, like Joe said, because he's explained the logic to me before. I just can't remember what exactly the logic was.
I just remember it was crazy.
I'm sure if you spoke to the girl that we had on at the start of the show, right? This lady here, she could probably give you some logic to what she's doing as well. It doesn't make it logical, though. Okay?
It doesn't make it logical.
No, it doesn't make it logical. No. So, different levels of logic going on here. There is. Maybe people don't know that myself and Popeye were once that famous. We were once that famous.
Back in the day.
But they even made a statue of us.
Oh, boy.
There we are, look.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy.
Remember that? Remember it was outside the Coliseum for a few weeks?
How could I forget?
Rather fetching one there. Yes, indeed.
Find me some.
The algorithm's thinking, what the hell's Baker got on the screen? So what else we got, guys? Come on, we must have something else. Have you lost all your pictures, Joe?
I've just found that same picture that you had right there. It's funny.
Then we've got the Hydra, the original Hydra.
All right, I found it. Here, I'm going to give this to you. All right.
The algorithm hates Popeye, man.
The picture that I think best signifies Popeye. So let me try and do this here in a way that I can. How do I do that?
I'm going to see if there's anything else kicking about in the metro that we can get a laugh with before we go tonight. There's always something in the metro.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I have it right here. Driver caught at 110 mile an hour claims he needed a number 2.
Hey.
That's right. He was caught driving 110 on the A1. What's the A1?
A really long road up the north of England.
Okay, he says because he needed the toilet, a number 2. A silver Mercedes was stopped by an unmarked police car near Yaxley in Cambridgeshire.
That's way down, actually, getting down Cambridgeshire. That's where I done my drill school, basic training, we call it here, Joe. It's like really posh down there.
Okay. Yeah. It says it was seen speeding and undertaking an awful weather conditions. An officer from Beds, Cams, and Hurt Roads Policing Unit wrote on Twitter, the professional HGV driver was very sorry, but he needed the toilet, a number 2. That's okay then. Reported. Driver caught speeding in excess of 100 miles per hour face disqualification from the road rather than penalty points, but the decision is at the discretion of the court. So you guys face disqualification from the road. Do you do that?
I was about to say disqualification from the road.
Pull over, old boy. Pull over, old boy. You've been driving in violation of the rules, sir.
Oh my God.
Here it's like your license has been revoked. No car for you.
That's right. Your license is revoked, bitch.
Listen, we've got a bit more decorum about us over here, okay?
There's no decorum over here.
Oh, absolutely there is. Listen, you guys and girls over there have not only butchered the English language by like spelling things wrong and all the rest of it and things, right, with your Americanisms, but you have lost this kind of chivalry and gallantry that us Brits seem to have over here, You just need to adopt a bit of that. It would sound so cool in your American accents,
There you go.
Oh.
See, that's what's wrong with the world. You've lost that British kind of chivalry, guys. Come on.
That picture is not advertiser friendly, Joe.
It most certainly is.
Oh, wait a minute. It probably isn't. No, the things I wish I could show the audience right now. But there's some things that the audience and the algorithm will never unsee, Joe. Never unsee.
That's one of them.
That's definitely one of them. My word. But I think I've found maybe.
No, that's an ace card right there. That's one that you hold on to because you never know when you need to play that.
Absolutely. But listen, right? You see how
it always drives him crazy.
This guy could have if he was royal, he would have had the groom of the stool in the carriage with him, right? He probably could have taken a poo in his form of transport. But over here, we're saying we've got a different kind of way about us, a different level of etiquette, shall we say? We even go as far as to, and this is going to hopefully be the funniest story of the night. It's the weirdest. But what if I was to tell you that over here you can volunteer, right, to polish a giant erection? What? I mean, honestly, we volunteer for this work, you know? Here we go, boys. No making it up.
How much are they paying?
$5. $5 me polish you long time. It's not what people think. Oh, you dirty buggers out there. No.
Oh, so
it's an earthworks. So as you can see here, right, it says a giant chalk figure of a man with a huge club is being given a makeover.
Okay, so I got a question. Let's just say, for example,
there he is. See,
there he is. Okay,
somebody's got to clean him. I actually think it looks like a face. Look, there's his wee eyes and his nose, and I don't know. See?
Okay, so I got this thing here, right? Where, okay, so you got the whole shaft thing. Got it. Now, what if it was a statue of a fucking balls? Would it be different, Kev?
Well, would you still volunteer to polish it?
I'm asking you.
You're asking me, right? Hang on, I want to make sure I've got the question clear before I.
Yeah. Okay, so would it be different for you if instead of polishing a chalky figure of a man with a huge big Jim in the Twins?
When did we decide that I would volunteer for the chalky one before we get into any other kind of phallic symbols that you want me to polish?
Would be the difference in your mind of polishing that or a big brass statue of Big Jim and the Twins?
Joe, I think I think the first issue is the three-dimensional aspect of it, right? Because you're going
but as long as it's not attached to Jim, then it's okay, right? If it's just like an ornament or like a statue, you can get me sitting there polishing it away. I don't mind it. Give it a bit of a rub here and there, spit on it, bit of polish. It's just an object, dude. Come on.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Your filthy mind. Your filthy mind, Scott, isn't he? See? You try groom me, Joseph. Is this how it starts? You know, today's talking about me. You show me how you rub the statue, Kev. I'll just do that, Joe. Oh, that's good, Kev. Keep going. No, I mean, bloody hell, I've just been groomed live on a live stream. Clip it. My word, man.
Big Jim, the Twins need a polishing, Kev.
Dude. How do we know? What if this giant doesn't even identify as a dude anymore?
You don't even realize that anytime I say that, that's going to trigger you now.
Absolutely. It's like you're going to, there must be a code word in there where I'm just going to go into a trance.
It totally is, dude. It is grooming 101, 201, and 301 all right there. Bam.
But Joe, seriously though, think about it. I mean, who's the guy at the museum that has to, clean Michelangelo's, statues and
Exactly, dude. Like, who's the one that gets to polish the boobies? And then who's the one that has to go and polish Big Jim and the Twins?
Big Jim and the Twins, man. Big Jim and the Twins. Remember we used to talk about that contraption called The Vajankle. Remember that, Joe?
Yes, very, very well, very well.
Can you imagine my surprise just a couple of weeks ago, right? And hang on now. Wait till I pull this up here. This is going to blow your mind. Jonathan Fuller. There we go. He might be in the chat today. We've got a listener called Jonathan Fuller, okay? And he's a sculptor. He's a model maker. And he's made Momo in the past for Clyde Lewis. And he's made a whole heap of like horror ones. There's like Pennywise. Hang on, I'll pull them up here. Try to find it. Because it's relevant to this story. Here we go, come into images. So he makes things like this, right? I mean, how cool is that, right?
Cool.
Listens to the show. And a couple of weeks ago on Freaky Friday, we mentioned the Vajankle, okay? And people out there. I know when I tell you not to do this, it's like the Streisand effect. Everyone's going to rush and do it. Don't check what that is on Google. Please don't. But if you do, right, it's something myself, Joe, Scott, Popeye, funnily enough.
All I can say is we warned you. Don't do it.
Well, get this, because comes off the show and Jonathan's messaged me on Facebook. And he says, oh, laughing, and I can't believe you guys were talking about the Vajankle. It was my friend that invented that. So we're 1 degree of separation away from the dude that actually created it. So I was thinking maybe one night on a stream on Periscope, because we couldn't possibly do it on here, we'll maybe get that dude on. How cool would that be? That would be like the ultimate kind of cream on the story, would it not?
That would,
you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be absolutely fantastic, and it would be excellent to pick his brain on what motivated him and what his thought process was when he decided, you know what, I'm going to invent this.
With that, honestly, I can tell you because I've heard other manufacturers of that explain it in the past, and it really has to do with people with special interests are willing to spend a lot of money to build that, and all it takes is that first person to kind of provide that seed money for it, and after that they've got the mold, and then it's just then they can produce it.
Yep. But I thought that was quite cool, because when we used to do a show like this on Hangar 18, I mean, it was far riskier. It was swearing. We used to try and it was before the algorithm. It was back when it was the Wild West. You didn't have to worry about what you said, and we used to like take it to Howard Stern levels, but then some. And also try and go a bit further than that. It offended people. It triggered people. But imagine talking about that way back years ago. And now here we are. We start up the show again, albeit a bit watered down. And we get the opportunity. It's like the universe is saying, guys, you are right to be doing this shit. You know, here's your little reward. The Vajankle originator.
Wouldn't it be interesting?
Look at him loving his HD face. Look at him. Look. Isn't that the face that you just want to Photoshop? Oh, it is.
You know what, though, man? In the past, we've had other people on that of products that have been interesting. Like I had Dr. Tom Wicks, the guy that invented Stabil, the gasoline additive on. I mean, just stuff like that, It's fascinating stuff. But interestingly, these people are just ordinary people doing their part.
I was going to say they're not doing ordinary things when they're creating Vajankles, Joe. There's nothing ordinary in that,
Hey, look, they're ordinary people playing their part. That's it.
Kev, they pulled that information out of the Akashic record.
It was time. It was time.
The Vajankle has always existed. It was just time for somebody to put it into existence.
Well, there's a debate in the chat room about whether we need Scruffy Kev or Shaven Kev. I think we're going back to Scruffy Kev.
Scruffy Kev?
Yeah, I think that with the accent, I think it works, guys. I think it works. I think I've rocked it. I think so.
Can I also mention that John Fuller's work is amazing?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, dude.
you know,
Absolutely.
I got to give him a shout out. His sculptures and his work is absolutely fantastic, and I've always had huge respect for people who are able to do that.
Anybody that can take
I mean, look at
from here or from here
Try
to
get the
there,
website.
that with hands. I mean, it's just unbelievable, man. I can't even fathom it.
Because I think that the Instagram one's the best. Try to find that. Hang on. Try and pull it up. But yeah, it's... I think I was saying on my stream one day, I just love people that can do art like this. This is like... That's not him.
If you go back to one of the pictures...
they were all Facebook ones, man. I'll go again.
But it had an Instagram link.
Pinterest.
I think it was the Pennywise one had an Instagram link or one of them. I don't know, but anyways, yeah, his work is amazing, and anybody that, you know, people that do that kind of work for Hollywood, you know, making practical effects and
well, there's his YouTube channel.
Models like that.
We'll get his YouTube. He's got on here anyway. Where we go?
Yeah. Just amazing stuff. Just really, really cool. I mean, that involves a lot of talent to be able to visualize something like that and then sculpt it and mold it and create it, you know.
There we go. Look at that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, awesome. That is super cool.
Dang, dude. I want one of Joe made.
Yeah, that's right. Just make one of me.
Yeah, dude. Come on, Jonathan. I'm going to reach out to him on Facebook. Not to make one, but even just to draw one. That'd be pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. So we're back tomorrow, guys, yes? I think Scott's busy tomorrow, Joe. It might just be me and you, man.
I'll be here.
Scott's way out to the middle of the back of Beyond, and I was thinking to myself, if I was over there, if I was local...
I thought he was chainsaw attachment on his super chair.
Maybe
and going and slaying that.
Yeah, we're gonna be out in the middle of nowhere, watching a friend's house. And they live way out in the boonies. So
look at that, man.
Do you put all-terrain tires on your?
Oh, dude.
Oh, look at that! See, dude, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, that is so cool, so cool, so awesome.
Remember, folks, please sub to the Jonathan Fuller. Oh, wasn't even subbed there. Copy, go to his channel, get you the link for people. There we go, I'll put it in the chat room. So yeah, yep. Kristen saying no clowns. Mammoth Hunter, big shout out to Australia. My Australian family out there. Big audience in Australia, guys. Loving it, you know. So,
yeah.
Oh, hang on. What happened there?
Have a great night, y'all. Look out for the vague ankles and hairy nipples when on the sauce. Take care, love y'all.
Awesome. Always keep an eye out for hairy nipples, especially in this day and age. This is why I'm glad I'm not in the dating game anymore, guys. There's a good chance you might go home with something.
My God, no.
Hairy legs, hairy nipples. It's a thing. Eh? That's probably even a scarier prospect than the Jonathan's sculptures.
Oh yeah, or polishing the statue.
Polish it. You wouldn't volunteer to polish the statue then, Joe?
Dude, are you kidding me? I'd be all over that for a
Why doesn't this surprise me? Being an ex-sailor and all. You know?
It is what it is.
So, with that said, we are bang on our 90 minutes. Well, we're not really because we started late, but still. Myself and Joe will be back tomorrow night. Find the music.
Yeah,
Same time, same place. Joe hopefully won't have groomed me anymore. I hope not, anyway. Well, yeah. Scott's getting his groove on, man, look. We're liking it.
That's the music Joe's going to be playing while he's grooming you, man.
Is it grooming if you enjoy it?